Hello users, and welcome to another episodic installation of Above It All, the show where I talk about things that I think are relatively important. And this, I believe, is relatively important. A majority of young adults in the United States live with their parents for the first time since the Great Depression. Let's read. As we can see here, you can look at that. The coronavirus outbreak has pushed millions of Americans, especially young adults, to move in with family members. The share of 18 to 29-year-olds living with their parents has become a majority since U.S. coronavirus cases began spreading early this year, surpassing the previous peak during the Great Depression era. In July, 52% of young adults resided with one or both of their parents, up from 47% in February, according to a new Pew Research Center analysis of monthly Census Bureau data. Now, what's interesting to note is that was already extremely high. This is what a lot of people have been saying on the left, is that there is a Great Depression looming at any point. All it takes is one snap of a finger, and it's just going to crumble from there. So already 47% before the coronavirus became a national news story is already signs of the disaster that was yet to come, and that we are still not fully grappling with the implications of. The number living with parents grew to 26.6 million, an increase of 2.6 million from February. The number and share of young adults living with their parents grew across the board for all major racial and ethnic groups, men and women, and metropolitan and rural residents, as well as in all four main census regions. Growth was sharpest for young adults ages 18 to 24 and for white young adults. The share of young adults living with their parents is higher than in any previous measurement based on current surveys and decennial censuses. Before 2020, the highest measured value was in the 1940 census at the end of the Great Depression, when 48% of young adults lived with their parents. The peak may have been higher during the worst of the Great Depression in the 1930s, but there is no data for that period. So, again, this is what we're talking about. The Great Depression end, the previous peak, was 48% of 18 to 29-year-olds that live with their parents, right? And we were at 47% before coronavirus became a national news story. So again, and it's only expected to rise and rise and rise in the next coming months. So this is what's so astronomically bizarre, is that our society is doing nothing. We passed one stimulus package, in March? April, maybe? Steve Mnuchin was like, this would last 10 weeks, which was, 10 weeks is a little bit ridiculous, but okay, 10 weeks. So 10 weeks from April is what? 2.5 months? May, June, July, August, September. It's been a lot more than 10 weeks, Steve Mnuchin, is my point. If we look at more of the breakdowns down here, in the past decades, white young adults have been less likely than their Asian, Black, and Hispanic counterparts to live with their parents. That gap has narrowed since February as the number of white young adults living with their mothers and or fathers grew more than other racial and ethnic groups. In fact, whites accounted for about 2/3, 68%, of the increase in young adults living with their parents. As of July, more than half of Hispanic, 58%, and Black, 55%, young adults now live with their parents, compared with about half of white, 49%, and Asian, 51%, young adults. Young men are more likely than young women to live with their parents, and both groups experienced increases in numbers and share residing with mom, dad, or both parents since the beginning of the coronavirus outbreak. Similarly, a higher share of young adults in metropolitan areas compared with rural ones live with their parents now, but the number in both areas grew from February to July. By region, the number and share of young adults living with their parents grew throughout the country. Growth was sharpest in the South, where the total rose by more than 1 million, and the share increased by 6 percentage points, from 46 to 52%. But the Northeast retained its status in the region where the highest share of young adults live with their parents. So as you can see, this is only exacerbating, and this study only takes place up to July. We don't know what the numbers are for August yet, but it's more than likely that they're going to be either the same, maybe a little lower or maybe a little higher. There's nothing on the horizon for young people, right? There's nothing. There's no 5-year plan. Hell, there's no 10-year plan. There's no 30-year plan for young people. So when you've got millions and millions and millions of people that were denied a childhood, that were denied an early adulthood, that were denied, any form of consistency or safety in their upbringings and in their lives, that is how you get a very angry populace. That is how you get Trump's bread riots in every major city in the country. That is why we have millions of starving children. That is why we have so many people that are dissatisfied with the current system of governance, because the current system of governance has done nothing. Has done nothing except been a failure every step of the way. So thank you for watching. Share this info and stay safe out there. Good luck, everyone.